Hi everyone, this is the worksharp RKS or rolling knife sharpener. So this is going to be a first review, a first look review. Let's open the box and take a look inside. So we've got some instructions. I'll just open these out. You can see there's some very visual instructions here, and it includes a guide about what angles to use, and then on the other side you can see that there are a lot of safety warnings. If you want to freeze frame it and read them, there are a lot of potential hazards, many of which the failure to follow the warnings could result in severe injury or death. So please be careful when you use this, although I don't think it's quite as dangerous as it makes out. And one of the good things that you can see is that it comes with a 3-year warranty, which is excellent. So those are the instructions. Let's move them to one side. Let's take a better look inside the box. So this is the sharpener itself. There are 2 spare discs and an angle guide. So let's take a look at the magnetic angle block first. So it has 4 angles on here, so 15, 17, 20 and 25. It's also got spaces to hold the 2 spare discs. It's got reasonably decent magnets. There's still a little bit of movement, but not bad. And the angles here, so you would use the 15 degrees for an Eastern kitchen knife, so a Japanese knife, that sort of thing. 17 degrees for a Western kitchen knife, and then 20 or 25 for a pocket folder or a outdoor or bushcraft knife. And you'll see that on these 2 higher angles here that there's a riser, so that's to help if you've got a knife. This one's still a bit thin, but if you've got a blade that isn't quite so thick. So I think this is quite good. It's quite heavy. It's got rubber sort of grommets on the bottom, which means it stays in place pretty well. You could use this box to keep them in, or you could put the spare discs in here. Let's just move the box right out of the way. So looking at the discs, there are 3 discs. So there's a 320 grit, a 600 grit, and they're both diamonds. And then there's a ceramic honing disc. Now, I'm not sure what grit this is, but it is extremely smooth. So this is just for the finishing. And then looking at the actual roller mechanism itself, looking at these, so the discs stick on by magnet. The whole thing rotates here, and then there are 2 rollers on the bottom. It's quite heavy actually. I'll check the weight of it a bit later and I'll put that up here, but it's nice and weighty in the hand and it rolls very easily. So should we give it a try? For this test, I'm going to use this kitchen knife, and I'm just going to use the Lansky puck just to blunten it a bit. Now this hasn't been sharpened that well, and you can see that it's a little bit uneven. So there's a bit of an edge there. It's not great. If you can look at that closely, you can see that it's tearing. So I think this is a prime candidate for this. So this is a Western knife. I'm going to put it on at 17 degrees. Let's see how it sticks on the magnet. And I'm going to hold it at an angle so it's easy to fit on the screen. So with the disc, we just roll it up and down along the edge. Now, the tip is not great on this. So I'm doing this a few times. Let me just see if I can feel a burr at all with my finger. I can't actually feel the burr. Let's do it a little bit more. So this does make it very easy to get the angle actually. Okay. So I can feel a burr. You might see it. It's not easy to focus on that, but there's definitely, I can feel a bit of a burr on my thumb. So got that nice and grounded there. So let's try this side. So that should be apexed. Let's just give it a try with my post-it note. Can you see this? So it's cutting, but it's still tearing a bit. If you look at that, it's still quite rough. I'm just going to try giving it a few more goes on the other side. The action is quite easy on this. Now, one of the reasons why I might be struggling a bit is because I think this has been sharpened at a more acute angle previously. Let me just turn it over. Look at it. And you can probably see on here, maybe a little bit of debris on here. A little bit of black comes off. Just going to turn it over again. And let's give it another test. Let's get a fresh piece. Well, it's okay. Just looking at this, it looks nice and even actually. I'm just going to give it a couple more goes. Just give a bit of extra amount on the tip there. And let's just turn it over again. I think we're pretty much there now. Right, let me get a fresh piece of paper. I think that's better. Okay, so I'm going to swap out the disc and I'm now going to put the 600 on. Let's see how we get on with that. So hopefully I've reprofiled the edge on this. If you hear the noise, it is much smoother, not as noisy. Just a bit of extra work on the tip. Hopefully you can see I've got a good shine on here as well. It's very smooth actually, and it's very easy just to roll it backwards and forwards. So let's give this a quick test. So yeah, I think that's looking better. I'm just going to give it a few more goes. Swapping it over. Now, unfortunately, I don't know what steel this is. The nice thing about this is not having to worry about the angle though. I find that much easier to use. See how much. So you can see it's taking quite a lot of steel off. And if you look, hopefully you can see the edge there. Let me just try with a post-it note. Yeah, that's a lot better. So finally, we've done that. Let's try the honing blade and see if we can get it. So this is a ceramic one. Let's see if we can just get it, finish it off. So this is much quieter. It's much smoother. You can see a fair bit of debris coming off. Now I haven't really got a large strop, so I won't be stropping this, but let's see where we get to after this. Let's switch it over. Make sure it's well grounded. I'm keeping my hands well away from the edge. I'll just do a couple more passes on this side. Just give it a quick clean. And we'll give it a quick test. So let's test it with a piece of post-it note. I think that's much better actually. I think that's pretty good. I've never been great at sharpening kitchen knives. Let's try it on my normal test knife. This is my normal test knife that I use. Now, it's quite small for this. So I'm getting this nice and blunt. Let's try it with a post-it note. So I'll just try it with a post-it note. Right, it gets a little bit of a cut. Okay. For this one, I'm going to put it on the 20 degrees. Now, this isn't a wide enough blade to fit on the ledge, but it seems to stick to the magnet okay. I'm going to switch it back to the 320 and let's give this a try. So I think I just need to put my finger and thumb under there just to stop it slipping down. Now there isn't a sharpening choil on this, so we just have to make do with it as it is. It's quite a thin and flexible blade, but it seems to be doing okay. And this is my test knife that I use a lot. Let me just give that a clean off. And with my thumb, I can feel the bevel. So let's do the same going this way. Sorry, with my thumb, I could feel the burr. Again, the magnet's not quite strong enough to hold it by itself, but with my finger and thumb underneath, let's see if we can get this to work. It's very easy to use, and at least with this angle guide, I know I'm keeping the angle. Right, just check. It's removed quite a lot of metal. If we look at that. And there's a slight bevel on that side, so I'm just going to give it a couple of strokes backwards and forwards, and let's give it a test. So here's my post-it note. And that's a lot better. So let's move down to the smaller grit size. So the 600. And again, I'm just going to give it a few passes. I'm using my finger and my thumb. If you can see underneath there, I'm using that just to hold the blade on up, because it's quite a narrow blade. I'm not applying too much pressure on this. I'm not quite sure how much you're meant to do, but I'm just rolling it backwards and forwards. Let's turn it over. And again, I'm just using my finger and thumb underneath just to hold it up. Let's get that nice and straight. give this a clean up. Back to a different piece of post-it note. I think some of this is just operator error with me not being very good at cutting. Let's move on to the ceramic honing disc. Just give that a clean off. So this is the equivalent of stropping, and I don't know if you can see this. There's quite a bit of debris build up on there. So put it on again. Can we see this? It's much quieter. Should just be taking off if there's anything minor on that edge. There shouldn't be much of a burr left. I think it would be nice if the magnets would just came up a little bit closer to the edge when you're doing these smaller knives. But I think I'm getting it to work okay. It's very easy to work though. The rollers work really smoothly. Now, I didn't purchase this myself, so I sent a note to Worksharp and asked if they'd send me one. So I'm not getting paid for this review, but I did get a free sharpener. I just wanted to be clear about that. So that is super sharp now and really easy. And let's see if we can take a closer look. So I'm not sure what angle I put on it previously, but hopefully you can just see that edge on it. So I think that worked really well. So that's my test knife. And this is a knife I've been carrying, well, that I'm carrying for all of October. And it's not that sharp. I haven't sharpened it in a while. So just giving it a quick test. Yeah, I have to put quite a bit of weight on it to cut. So again, for this one, I'm going to use the 20 degrees. And again, I'm holding my finger and thumb underneath. Let's put it back to the 320. And hopefully you can see this. Let's zoom in a little bit. So, okay. So you can hear it working. Now I think this is a carbon steel blade, so it should sharpen up very easily, but the magnets are holding it fairly well actually. Again, I've just got my finger and thumb just underneath it, just to help lift it a little bit, as this is a very narrow blade. Because if it's not at least decently sharp on this, then I'm never going to get it sharp on the next one down. So I'm still on the 320. Let me just check, see if I get a burr. Yeah, I can just feel it on there. Turning it over. I'm going to move it down onto the 600 now. So a finer grit. Let's get it lined up. Hopefully you can see this. Swapping it over. So I've put the ceramic honing disc on now. And it's very quiet, so it doesn't feel as if it's actually doing much. We'll see in a minute. It's probably just taking if there's a small wire burr left on it. So let's just do a check and see. So I think that's really sharp actually. And if we can see it, so it's got a fairly consistent bevel. So looking at the worksharp, so it comes with 3 discs, the 320, the 600 and the honing disc. These can fit into the angle guide when you're not using them. The angle guide itself, it's got magnets on all sides. You can maybe see them under rubber covers and the 4 different angles. I think it works really well. It's really easy to use. So certainly for beginners like me, I think this is perfect. It rolls really well. And I'm pretty sure I'd recommend this actually. I think it works better with the larger knives, and I found it a little bit more difficult with this smallest knife. So probably not for a really small pocket knife, but for a larger kitchen knife or a bushcraft knife, it certainly works well. You're guaranteed to get the right angle using these different angle guides. Let me know what you think in the comments. As I said earlier, this was sent to me by Worksharp, so I didn't pay for it, but I'm not actually being paid to do this review. So I've given it an honest review. This is really my first try at using it. So if I haven't been that polished, that's down to me, not down to the sharpener, but it certainly is simple to use. So I guess this is similar to other rolling knife sharpeners. I think the Hall was one of the first ones to use. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you give it a go? Have any of you got this, and do you find it useful or not? Hope you found this useful. Why not check out this video or this playlist? I have a lot of other sharpening videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.